It's interesting, right? Because if you ask somebody, hey, is follow-up important?
Giving like real value, maybe a case study.
Until the follow-up stop.
Every follow-up helps. I believe that
HubSpot did a study, and what they found.
All right, welcome to version 2, episode 2 of the Access 360 podcast. We are live streaming on YouTube. We've got Harold, who I got to give a shout out because he made that cool little intro video to this conversation, and we are evolving as we go. And that's part of what we say we come here to do. We bring leaders, ideas, and conversations here to evolve. 360 kind of means we're not afraid to go in any kind of different direction. It's all encompassing, and we're going to bring in different ideas, different viewpoints, and hopefully things that are of value to you. And I'll just go around the horn here. We've got Tony, who's on the internal access, virtual staffing, and insurance team. Julie's here, Harold's here, all part of our internal team as well. May B Homes, Brian May is here with us. He does all kinds of good stuff, real estate, coaching, and sales and beyond. And we've got a special guest today for episode 2, Lisa Murphy, who helps people go from limited to limitless. She rips off the limits. And we're going to see where this particular conversation goes today. We're talking about, in general, fortune is in the follow-up. It came up in a conversation last week, and I was at a meeting this Wednesday at Keller Williams real estate office in Boca Raton, Florida, and the leader of the branch is doing it was a celebration for their new year, because in real estate, it takes 3 months to start a new or land the deal, so to speak, or put it over the finish line. So they actually have their new year on October because January 1st is 3 months away. And he asked a question to the entire audience. He said, your systems, like your follow-up system, your CRM system, he said, who in this room would rate themselves a 10 out of 10? Like their systems are off the chart. In a room full of 40 plus people, not one person raised their hand, not one person. Like if I asked you, do you know how to walk down the street? Everybody would say yes. If I asked you if you knew how to speak English, everyone would probably say yes. But how are your systems? How's your follow-up? Do you have a process? Are you good at it? And if follow-up is one of the keys to business, we might want to think about that and be good at it. Brian May, I'm going to go to you. You're a guy who's in the real estate world, so we're segueing from Keller Williams to real estate. You actually used to live in Boca Raton, Florida. But how are you coming into this conversation? How are you feeling today, and what are you thinking?
I feel wonderful. I had a crazy long fast. I did the Yom Kippur fast, and then I continued it. I did drink water and tea when the Yom Kippur fast was over, but then I fasted another 12 hours, went to the gym. You know, it's supposed to have very positive effects on cell regeneration, killing bad cells, killing disease cells. So that's that. We could biohack some other time. As far as the follow-up, the fact is that most people don't know how to follow up. The fact is most people just don't know what the hell they're doing. And this is the average follow-up is like, hey, Jim, okay, you ready to buy now? Okay, I'll try you in a week. Hey, Jim, it's a week. You ready to buy now? Oh, still no? Okay, I'll follow up with you in a week. And just like, you got to give value, whether that's news, doing a video, like texting a video, giving like real value, maybe a case study. Hey, Jim, you know what? I just spoke with this guy, John. Very similar situation. This is what I was able to do with John. Let me know if I could help you out with a quote and see what I could do for you. People don't know how to follow up.
It's interesting, right? Because if you ask somebody, hey, is follow-up important? Yes. I remember we talked to somebody called the Referral Navigator a little while back, and he said, most businesses are built on great referrals. You know how many businesses have a real solid and clear referral process? It's like minimal, even though it's really important. So it's so fascinating to think about these things. Lisa, I gotta bring you in because I think on the morning rush this morning you said the number 24. Is that the number I remember you saying in terms of like the number of follow-ups that is like needed these days, or was that somebody else?
That was me. I believe that HubSpot actually did the study 1 or 2 years ago. And, I was in insurance for a long time, and we used to say it takes 8 no's to get to a yes. And we meant that not like 8 different people you speak to, and then on the ninth person you get a yes. It was 8 times of quality contact with one person to bring them into the yes zone. But with the modern era and all the inundation that we all face in, spam in our emails, and now we're getting spam text and all kinds of things. HubSpot did a study, and what they found through all of their HubSpot users was the average has jumped to 24 contacts to get a close on a deal.
That is
And so that is a massive jump in the number of contacts. And I'm so excited to hear Brian say that, it's got to be quality contact. I just wrote a book called The Sales Success Blueprint. And one of my main principles in that book is you have to lead with value first. You can't be so interested in closing the deal that you skip the point of what your prospect really needs in their life right now. And when you start to lead with value and you start to lead with altruism, you start to create that trust connection that we are all missing so desperately right now in this modern era of AI and remote working and a lack of human connection. And those who will connect the best through follow up will be the ones who win the day.
You know, you said the key word that I wrote down on my paper, which is trust. And the thing is, follow up and social media, very similar. Very similar. Because if you just see one ad, it's like, okay, it looks interesting. But if you don't know who they are, you don't know if they're legit or not. And same thing with cold calls. Like you get one call, okay, like maybe I am interested, maybe I'm not, but I don't know who you are. But then when you start building a relationship and you're like, oh, hey, happy Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year, and you start building this relationship. Now they start taking you more seriously, and the trust builds and builds and builds. And when you add that with value, and then the other thing that no one talks about is luck, because you have to follow up, and that person or that avatar or ICP that you're going after, they need to get to the tipping point of their problem or issue where they're ready to make a decision. So it's like, I look at it like Coca-Cola or Budweiser, especially growing up, where like every game, everything had Coca-Cola and Budweiser. So it's like as soon as you're thirsty, you're like, okay, I'm going to do Coca-Cola, I'm going to do Bud. So it's like if you're a coach, maybe that person's in a relationship. They need to get to the point of the relationship where it's so shitty, where like now they see your ad and now they're like, you know what? I've seen this guy 10 times. I can't believe that my significant other did X, Y, and Z. Now I'm calling.
uh,
I'll enhance that a little bit. They don't necessarily have to actually get to that point, but they do have to be able to visualize it and see themselves in it. So I was just working with one of my sales agents the other day, and she was preparing what we call a journey page. Now, David has experienced my journey page, which is a follow-up that I send. But as she was building this journey page, I told her to make sure the images she was overlaying in the journey page reflected the person she was speaking with, because there were he's a tractor company service manager, and he wants to move up to be their chief manager of operations. And he's found a lot of things through his process that he could improve for this company. But she had images up there that were men in suits, and he's not a man in a suit. So then as she got into more of the style of who he is right now, then they were clean shaven men, and he is more like David's face. He's got a, goatee, but it's a light goatee. It's not a heavy beard. It's not thick. It's just a light goatee. And I said, make sure that you are pulling images that he can connect to, images that he can relate with, because then he can visualize when you show a person, in the baseball cap and the polo shirt with the company logo on it, and it's somebody who looks like him with an expression of frustration as you're going through the pain points on the bullets. Now he can start to visualize himself within that space. So you don't have to get them all the way to the breakdown necessarily. You have to get them to a point where their brain connects what that breakdown is going to look like if they keep on the path that they're on now.
Yeah, and I gotta give. I was gonna give you a quick shout out, Lisa, but we do a bunch of LinkedIn outreach through Access Virtual Staffing and my profiles, and Lisa and I connected, and then we had a conversation, and we decided we should probably figure out ways to collaborate with each other, and I invited her to share some things on the Morning Rush, which we're going to be doing on Monday, and we'll share more about that, but. One of the things I was just impressed by, Lisa, is your systems, your process, a lot of the automations that you have in place when you say with somebody, we're going to do a thing, and then all of a sudden there's a couple of emails, there's a calendar invite, there's a this, and you even armed me with marketing materials that I could send out to my people. And so talk about adding value, talk about making it easy and seamless. Just a shout out. And if anybody wants to look Lisa up, it's limited to limitless.com. And we'll share more stuff as we go through this conversation. But shout out to you, Lisa, because I always appreciate a good system and process that somebody has. And I'm sure that took some time to fine tune, and it's a continuous fine attunement, so to speak.
Yeah, it's continuous. That is for sure.
Yeah, very good. Well, Tony, let me bring you into the conversation. We got into a little bit of sales, and I think we got some sales people here. But what's kind of sticking out for you as we've gone through so far in the
Actually,
conversation?
some of the things that we've already talked about, I mean, just to kind of piggyback off of Brian, I remember there was a Forbes article that was titled "Why the Follow-Up is Everything in Business." And one of the key takeaways they actually had in there was if you don't follow up, you leave low-hanging fruit. You know, they were just talking about like the follow-up turns intention into impact, or persistence outperforms talent when others quit. One of the things I always thought of was the deal isn't dead until the follow-up stop. And that is true. And to kind of piggyback off of Lisa, it says follow-up often closes the gap in perception versus reality. So many opportunities slip because minor friction, whether that's forgotten emails, whether it's unanswered questions or timing. A follow-up really reopens that door. It gives clarity. You can clarify things. You can overcome maybe a last objection or two, and or reframe value, which is what she mentioned. And so I think that follow-up is one of the most important things to be able to do. It really is a treasure. It really is persistence. Stats did go from 5 to 8. It used to be 5 to 8 follow-up. She's saying now it's, was it 24? And so statistically, you're not going to get it if you're not following up. And they say that a single follow-up email or even phone call can raise success rate by 80%. And nearly half the reps out there give up after only one follow-up. So that kind of tells you where, as a society or a culture, where we're actually at. And, it's just like anything else, even with character. Zig Ziglar said it was character that got us out of bed, commitment that moved us into action, and discipline that enabled us to follow through. And follow up is that same phrase of following through. It's what we do in life. What I found, it's not just follow up in business, but if we can make it habitual in our life, because you follow through in what you say, what you commit to in your relationships, in your friendships. When you're following through in that and making it a daily habit, those things are going to naturally flow into business, and you're going to be persistent in that. And really what I've seen with business owners and things like that is follow up actually signals seriousness. And persistence is like respect, right? A lot of people used to think that if I keep calling, they're actually going to reject me. And statistics say it's the opposite, that people actually respect you for continuing to reach out, continuing to pursue, and you often see the fruits of that.
Yeah. No, I love it. It's coming alive. It reminded me as you were speaking, Tony, one of the things I used to do some communication and sales coaching and training at the corporate level. And one of the things for the firm I worked for, they called it, it's like, look, we get the question, what do you do if you've sent a bunch of follow-ups and nobody's responded? And one of the guys, senior guy, he said, I do the doghouse email. And everybody's like, well, what is that? And you just put in the subject, doghouse question mark, and then you write in your email, am I in the doghouse? And you said perception and reality. That would actually what his statement was perception can sometimes be reality. So I just wanted to check in and see, did I do something wrong, or what's going on? And I would see it, like guys would use it in our firm, and it wasn't 100%, but it was a very high percentage of somebody just responding and saying, hey, yeah, sorry man, I got busy, but yes, we still want to engage, or we still, and it led to the reawakening of what was perceived to be a lost contact in that moment. And it's funny because psychologically I think a lot of the people, well, I myself think, like, am I bothering this person? Am I harassing this person? Should I just like relax a little bit? But oftentimes on the other side of it, somebody's like, yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for sticking with me because I just get so busy and distracted. But I want to talk more about this. And I think what you said too is we give up so quickly, or a lot of people will give up so quickly, one or two touch points and then gone. Yeah.
Interesting that you said that too, that with the dog thing, because right now what's going on with all the memes and the little videos that you can make, I've seen people that do follow up really, really good. They'll put like a Spaceballs, GIF with a thing saying, you said you get back to me, and it sees the clock going like 3 days, 4 days, like that. And they make it like funny. And every time I've seen one of those, I'm like, if I ever need anything, that's the person I'm going to. And yeah, I mean, it's just really cool that they do that because it's almost like they're putting it out there like, hey, you didn't get back to me like you said you would, but they're doing it so funny that you're like, man, I love this guy. And
Well,
to kind of hit on what Lisa said, I call it the dream scenario in sales, right? It's like you're visualizing the person actually what they're trying to accomplish. And so, I always used to say you go from like problem awareness, right? The things that are preventing them from getting there, and you're bringing them really, really low. And before that, you're giving them the dream scenario, right? Like, what is it if you hit all your goals? You're putting everything in there that if they reach top of the mountain, they hit all their goals, what does that actually look like? And then you start breaking it down from there to bring them back up. But that's kind of to piggyback off what she says is you don't actually have to get them all the way there. You
I'm
build
gonna
that framework around them.
I wasn't intending to plug Jack Bly, but he's someone, and Brian May can tune in on this too, because he reached out to me on X, and like I can show the whole stream, but I was not responsive day in and day out. He would follow up with me, like, was it that bad? And then here are the memes that he started to
Yeah, there you
share.
go.
Apply, huh? Time to reach out, time to unleash the follow-ups. I didn't respond. My follow-up's being left unread. This little
That's a
girl
good one.
burning down a house. He's probably thinking about other girls. Should I find send Jack a thumbs up so I could continue with him? Watching I don't know what a VSL is, but I'd love to know
Video
it.
sales letter.
What is it?
Video sales letter.
All right, there we go. We're learning something. VSL after my sixth follow-up, not opening, like what's happening to your brain when you book so all of this stuff was so well done. Book a call, don't book a call. What should I do? And it eventually got me to book a call. But Brian, what would you say? Because you actually talked to Jack, and we this wasn't part of the plan here, but it came up.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think everything, well, let's put it like this. I think a lot of salespeople are too serious and they're not really themselves. They're not authentically themselves. And I think with so many cold callers and VAs, as you know, I think what makes us stand out as Americans calling other Americans is the ability to just jump right into the middle and not sound like a cold caller. And I think having some humanity, having some humor, and when Tony was saying like it's not just for sales, 100%. It's like it's so true of dating, right? Like if there's now that we're like swipe nation, if there's an attractive woman and she's getting all these DMs, right? You have to do something to stand out. The problem that most men have is they either like borderline stalkers or they give up. And it's like they don't know where this like in between is of like, okay, like drop something and then just wait maybe 3, 4 days, drop something, wait a week, wait 2 weeks. Like don't be a stalker and don't give up. And I think that humor really sets you apart. And I love memes. I mean, David knows this. I love Instagram. I have blocks and blocks and blocks on Instagram because I'll just go on there all day. And when you read something and it makes you laugh, you immediately like the person at least 5% more. I mean, Lisa seems like she's good on stats, so I'm making up the 5%. And as far as Jack goes, I spoke with him. The only reason that I don't think I pulled the trigger with him was it was more like he was giving a cookbook, and I really wanted to hire a chef.
That's the thing too. You have to know your audience, right? You have to know it's okay to put humor in, but you need to know what type of humor your audience is going to align with. You have to know how you're going to connect with them. The persistence part, what David said about the doghouse, I have heard, and there are statistics on giving that one line email when you feel like maybe you're stuck is the best way to engage reaction because people are so tired of looking through paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs of email. So when you ask a one yes or no question, one sentence on the email and the rest of the page is blank, that gets people's attention. As far as the persistence and follow-up that David said he's concerned about, that is actually one thing that I offered to David to offer to his audience was it's called the 7-day rejection goal challenge. Because the very first part in sales, before we can build sales confidence, is we have to understand how to psychologically handle rejection and objections. And so the 7-day challenge that I built helps people understand how to take that no and turn it into useful data and into a game. So you can gamify getting no's. And it really helps to start to build that sales confidence attitude so that making these follow-ups and getting ignored or getting the no starts to not feel like something bad. It starts to feel like a possibility. And at the very end of the challenge, we talk about how turning a no sale into a referral pipeline is gold. You don't have to sell everybody to have to build your referral system with them.
That's right. Well, I think that's part of it, right? Is like being impervious to rejection. It's like you're almost like water off a sail's back. And I love how you said that. Like it's an opportunity to learn something and acquire information. It's a data point. And I'm just thinking about Chris Voss, who wrote Never Split the Difference. But he would say that no is just the beginning of the negotiation. Like, let's get to that no, and then figure out how we're gonna work around it and work towards what's mutually ideally beneficial for all parties. Let me bring
It's funny. I
Julie
just got to
in.
tell you,
So yeah,
Grant Cardone a long time ago said something, and it was so funny how it became so controversial. Okay. He said, no interest is a level of interest. And that's pretty much like what you were saying with Voss. Obviously they're both experts. So I really like that because it's true. Like you walk, how many times you walk into a store, which I don't think anyone walks into stores anymore, but remember when we did walk into stores, like the person in the front would be like, "Do you need help with anything?" "No, no, I'm good." And then after you take 3 steps, you're like, "I don't know where are the shirts?" Like, you're just like you're pre-framed to say no.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm gonna bring in Julie here. So Julie gets to see a lot of Access virtual staffing behind the scenes and probably experiences my sometimes diligence, sometimes non-diligence with our follow-ups. But I've asked Julie to track a lot of what we're doing so that when it's not top of mind for me, it's a fail-safe that we have. But Julie, what's coming up for you in this conversation? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, sure. Hi everyone. Well, anyway, this actually applies to me as the executive assistant of Access Virtual Staffing. So, it's normal to me. Like I always, did do every like follow-ups with David. So in my role, I've seen like a crucial part of follow-ups, and they're not just a reminder. It actually shows consistency, credibility, and commitment. So, both client relationship and every follow-up helps, I believe, that opportunities moving forward and reinforces reliability. And I truly believe that success in business is about making connections. So that's why I really love what Lisa told us, that we should be able to build relationships and connections so that we have this trust in like moving forward. So
Yeah, Julie's she's incredible because I'm someone who tends to have a lot going on and kind of digging around and stirring a lot of things up. So she kind of keeps me in alignment a lot of times, and that's not easy. That's not easy. So thank you, Julie.
You're
Um,
welcome.
Maybe as we go on here, it's probably time to start like winding down the conversation, but maybe there's a good opportunity for each of us to maybe just share something that you might say has made a difference for you in your follow-up, in your system, in your process as like a top tip. Like if somebody's watching and they're thinking about, what are the things that I could add into my mix? And it could be as simple as how are you tracking follow-ups? Like is there a system you're using that has really worked really well for you? Or what are some of the things you've learned along the way? So let's maybe go around the horn. Brian, were you ready for that one, or you want to pass that?
Always. I'm ready for anything.
All
Uh,
right. And hey, I love the background too. Like I think it's just the color of the shirt and the
yeah,
back. Everything's going well
thank
today
you.
for you.
Thank you. Lisa had mentioned rejection, and I think that you know, I love SOPs, I love systems, and I love that all. But honestly, I'm old school, and I'm like really even more old school because I worked in real estate in Brooklyn and Queens before the hipsters came and everything. And I think, your mindset and you versus you is more important because you could have the best system, but if you don't if you can't transfer conviction, if you can't transfer something, and if you can't stay in the game and get a few punches, like you're going to get knocked out. So it's like with rejection, I think the number one thing that helps most people is someone rejecting you does not define your self-worth. So like just because this guy is saying no, that doesn't mean I'm somehow impacted or like I'm worth less. It just means, hey, maybe the guy had bad Chinese food. Maybe he has to go to the bathroom. Maybe he just walked in on his wife cheating. Like we don't know what the hell is going on. And that's why follow up is so important, right? Because I mean, I think that with rejection, with self-worth, the most important thing is until someone says to you, Brian, leave me alone. Do not call me again. Until that happens, you got to be on them. And listen, I don't recommend calling people every day, 17 times a day, but you got to be on them until they say like, "Hey, this isn't for me. Leave me alone."
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. And I think that is reminding me of, well, what I'll share as my tip for today is I think it's the follow up. Sometimes when we think about follow up, it's following up about the business or the sale. And what I am, just bringing forward right now is find other reasons to follow up and build relationship. It doesn't always have to be about that I need to close the sale in this follow up. It's maybe something you found out about them that you can share something that you saw online or this or that. Like you might even build a repertoire of things or memes or whatever that you can send as fun and engaging follow up rather than it just being, hey, do you want to do business? Hey, do you want to do business? After a while, people are like, no, I don't want to do business, but why don't you care about me a little bit, build a relationship a little bit, and let's see maybe when the timing's right, I still like you, but I don't like you because you keep, anyway. So Lisa, over to you. What's a tip for you?
Obviously, systems. Systems are important because systems help you take that action step. But I want to step into what David just said about follow up and following up with value. When you're building that relationship, my go-to is always, how can I support you? It does not have to be with my product or service, but what is your main problem right now? Because I know a lot of people, I have a lot of friends. Let me connect you with the person who can solve this problem that is causing you so much stress. It's affecting your family and your health and everything else. We'll start there. I love Brian made a comment in the chat that said commission breath. And that is something that a lot of sales agents, because they don't think that they have consistency, they get stuck in that if I don't sell this week, I'm not going to make my payment. And if they would start with, how can I support you? Again, the person you're speaking to and following up with may not be your ideal client. They may look like your ideal client, but if they're not ready to buy, they're truly not your ideal client. Through your support, though, they are going to shuffle you to your ideal client and probably more than one of them.
Brilliant. I love it. How can I support you? Yeah, how can I? And I think that's so true because I sometimes am doing that organically, like, oh, Lisa should meet Brian, or Brian should meet Tony, or this or that. And it's like that could be the value add that's like, oh, this is a valuable person I want to stay in touch with. I may not be ready to do business with you and whatever it is that you're doing business in, but I like you. You build the trust, you build a relationship, and then when it's time, you're going to be one of the more favored potential partners for the actual business. I love it. Thank you, Lisa. Tony, what do you got?
I mean, I kind of to summarize what everybody did. The number one thing is that follow up is built on relationship. Everything's relational. At the end of the day, what we tend to forget, especially in sales, is we forget that the people we're dealing with are humans, right? And we can forget that because it's all about revenue, it's all about getting the sales, closing the deal, it's all these things, and we forget the human aspect of it, that people have been hurt, which we kind of hit on earlier. They've had salespeople that weren't very good, that didn't know about the relational aspect. They didn't know actually how to sell the proper way. And so, one of the things I've always done is take care of my clients and even those that weren't clients in a relational manner, like showing that you sincerely care. Because what we've all seen in any type of sales or dealing with any clients is they haven't told us just their pain points. They've also told us like how their week was, like, oh, it's been stressful, or it's dealing with kids, or I was dealing with this, or kid off to college, whatever that case may be. They've given us real relational things that have happened in their real life. And so to even follow up on those things is, hey, how are those things doing? And how's your week now? You told me you had a earlier week. Just hitting on that separates you from the rest, right? Because a lot of people are so into getting the deal closed that they're forgetting that they are dealing with real people, and you can actually build real relationships, have a real caring heart to help them, which is going to lead to sales. And kind of like Lisa said, if it doesn't lead to a sale there, they're going to refer you because they're like, hey, this is the guy you want to go see, or this is the woman you want to go see. So I think we have to remember that follow up is relational, it's intentional, and the fruits of it are obviously there when it comes to statistics.
I love that. Let's deepen and build great relationships with everyone. Like if that's your way of being, and then I think there's systems and processes that enhance the way in which you can do that and the capacity in which you can do that. Julie, what do you got for us? Any final closing tip or thought for us?
Yeah, sure. What actually really struck me the most is when Brian actually told us the earlier part, which is lead with value first. Because we believe success begins by offering value, asking for anything in return. So this approach sets the tone for genuine and meaningful interactions. And as well, I also believe that at the end of the day, people won't remember what you said or did. So they will remember how you made them feel. So
That's a
that
good
I guess
one.
that's
That's a
it.
good one. It's not always what we say that people remember, it's how we made them feel. What was the experience of the interaction with us? Was it like, oh, I feel good talking with Julie or Lisa or Brian or Tony or David? Like and we can reflect back on that. Like, sometimes I'll get into a conversation where I know I'm butting heads and I'm guessing the person probably didn't have a great experience with me. So with that, we're gonna wrap this conversation up, but I want to give Lisa an opportunity because one of the things on the other platform that we have is the morning rush. And on Monday morning, if you're tuning into this or you tune into the recording or whenever you see this, on Monday morning, we're actually going to have the morning rush, but Lisa's going to share. Lisa, what are you going to share with us on Monday morning if you want to share that now?
We're going to ditch the business cards and book 5+ meetings with one QR code when we go networking. The point behind this is a simple QR workflow I use at events and in-person meetups on the spot, no business card, and I schedule a booking appointment with them. And I'm going to walk everybody through how to set that up, the language I use. Now, I always suggest people don't follow a script. You find your own language so that you're more authentic. But I give you ideas of how you can break the ice, break through, and then move on so that you get, instead of having, like David said, a duffel bag full of business cards that you meant to follow up on, now you have a system that gives you real-time connection And even when people don't show up, you still have all of their information already in your CRM.
Amazing. Yeah, Lisa and I had a conversation, and we were talking about those moments when you meet people, whether it's out in public in some capacity or at an event, and it's how do you optimize that moment and those moments so they're not lost? And one, can you get something set up, at least exchange of contact information into, can we book some kind of meeting and can it go into some kind of system? So if you want to learn a little bit about that, Lisa's got some expertise and she's going to share it on Monday morning with us. Brian, I saw you come off mute. Did you have something?
Yeah, I think that's amazing. I can't believe people are still using business cards. It's like it's crazy. And I think one of the best things, like when people are like, "Oh, do you have a business card?" Like, no, because I'm in 2025. But 1985, I would have. That's why I think like websites basically were the second one. You have business cards, they led to websites, and now you have social media, right? And I think that these automated scans, the QR codes and stuff. But I love what you said, like just get it right into a meeting. The problem with the QR codes, which you have solved, is that a lot of people do the QR codes, but then yeah, I have your contact in my phone, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to remember to follow up with you. Obviously I always try to send them a text right away, but still, this whole thing that you're talking about, super valuable. I can't wait to hear it.
Love it. Love it.
Thank
Game
you.
on. I'm going to play the intro video as the outro. And thank you all for tuning in. It's interesting, right? Because if you ask somebody, hey, is follow-up important?
Giving like real value, maybe a case study.
Until the follow-up stop.
Every follow-up helps. I believe that
HubSpot did a study, and what they found